Mudita is a European company that originally started with the Mudita Pure phone. Since then, they have gotten into a bunch of different products, all the way from vegan watches, regular clocks, and now this, the Mudita Harmony. This is the second generation of the E-Ink clock, and today we're going to look at everything about it and even compare it to the first gen. First off, looking at the clock, it looks really beautiful. It looks both modern and classic at the same time. It's quite nice. You have this matte finish on the entire unit. I would have liked to see some innovative kind of dial change here, but they do have a dial at the back here that you can change things like alarm, etc. You can activate and deactivate the alarm by pressing the whole chunky button at the top, and you have a soft touch as well that clicks once to go through the settings. We'll show you that in a bit. And you have a back button. I love the back button. It's very intelligently placed. It's exactly where you think you'd need it. You also have a glow light button, and that's basically all the buttons. On the back, you don't have the dials like the Mudita Bell. Instead, you just have a gigantic speaker, and we'll let you hear it in a little bit. And you also have a USB-C port right there. The bottom is weighted, and it has a rubber stopper, so this thing does not move around very easily. It actually requires a lot of pressure, and it's not going anywhere. It's not something you touch a lot, although the first generation had massive battery issues, so you had to plug it in a lot of the time. The thing about an E-Ink device is that it should last a long time. If you're forced to charge an e-paper device so frequently, it kind of defeats the purpose of e-paper. The only reason you would implement this is for cost of power consumption. It's you have a longer battery life. That's the biggest thing. Also, viewing angle is a massive thing, because as you can see, this is not LCD LED. You can see this at virtually any angle. It is insanity how good the viewing angle is. That's really cool. Although it is shrouded by this kind of concave-esque little bowl going on here, but that's neither here nor there. Let's look at the settings before we let you hear it, and we go and compare it against the first generation. So this is a very nice dial. It has these little notches, which is really cool. You press down on settings, you can get into settings. You can change the clock face to a numerous amount of faces that shows combinations of the date, the time, and the battery life. And you can have quite a bit of data now that I actually just discovered some of these. You can change it, and once you trigger it, you just press OK, it saves it, and away you go. Going back into the settings, you can do the alarm, and bedtime tone, we'll save that because that's the sound. You also have date and time to, well, choose the date and time, very simple, and languages. Because this is a European device, you do have a couple languages on board. You have German, English, Spanish, French, Polski, and I believe that's it. So you don't get Italian, but that's fine. You can also go down to here and choose the front light. You can choose the intensity. Now, you can't turn it off. You can't change the intensity from the button. The button simply turns it off or on, but we can change it like that, turn it down to 3, for example. And you have auto light mode as well, so that's really nice. You save the settings, you'll notice that every single time. And you will notice one thing, actually, that they use the same internal screen bezel to make it squared off, because it's still gray like the first gen. We'll show you that in a little bit. You can turn the clock off entirely or factory reset it. You also have a bunch of other things here, like power nap. You can click on power nap and you can choose however many minutes. It's basically just a little bit more of a customized alarm. You have relaxation, play some tones, meditation, play some tones, and bedtime. You can set your bedtime every day, off or on, and that's basically all the settings. Let us listen to this thing now, because it sounds very relaxing. I understand that this is a relaxation clock. It has relaxation, meditation, etc. But boy, oh boy, do I wish you could sideload in music on this. What an absolute waste of a feature to to not capitalize on this speaker, I must say. It is not anything to do with the lack of quality. Far from it. In fact, the exact opposite. This is such a clear experience. I swear that Greek lullaby we played sounded like the guy was in my room over there. It was so realistic and deep, and it filled the room. It almost had 360 sound, it felt like, but there's nothing you can utilize it for other than some dings and dongs, or potentially some kind of ocean brook, bubbling brook, forest creek, very simple kind of things. Albeit the guys who did the stock audio tracks is crazy because this is so realistic. It sounds very crisp. It's almost ear-piercing, not in the overall decibel loudness of it, but it just gets right in the center of your head. I assume that has something to do with the relaxation properties, that it's supposed to be a rich sound. It wouldn't do very well if it was just a single speaker kind of tinny treble kind of vibe to it. It needs to have a lot of bass and a lot of depth. So unfortunately, you can't use it as a portable speaker, which would have been very nice to do, but there's just nothing you can do on it because you can't program it yourself. Now, comparing it against the previous generation, we are looking at a color change first and foremost, but we will also mention that there is an OS version change. Now, we don't know if the clock face, which we'll show you in a second, is attributed to the first generation, or can you upgrade this to get the watch face, because that is really the only difference between these guys. You'll see it looks a little bit different at face value, and that is because when we go to settings on both of these, you'll notice that this doesn't have clock face, but this does. So you can go to clock face and you can change it, but this one doesn't have that. You can't alter what the stock experience looks like, and it doesn't show the battery until it's almost out of battery. But don't worry, that'll be very quick because this thing loses battery very fast. Doesn't have Wi-Fi, doesn't have Bluetooth, and with the audio off, you need to charge this once a week. And you might be saying, well, that's not that bad, but remember guys, this is a clock. This isn't an e-reader. It's not a portable speaker you're hooked up to. It's not Alexa that's constantly accessing Wi-Fi. This is a clock. It tells the time, and we don't even, in our office at least, leave the glow light on. It's completely off, and this thing dies every single week. It is a very low battery quality. This one is low consumption. It actually lasts significantly longer. Although we haven't had it that long, we've scaled it, and we said, oh, this is right on track to outlasting this by a big degree. Unfortunately, these are very expensive. These aren't cheap. They're over $200 for the actual Harmony, and that is mostly the situation of having an e-paper panel, because e-paper is traditionally significantly more money than traditional LED, but it looks so much better than a standard clock. You get this beautiful, subtle, warm light. You get this amazing build quality. I just really wish they had a couple things. They maybe had a dial, utilized a little bit of the form factor so the customer could have a little bit more tactile feel, and maybe potentially let it be to the end customer that they could use it as a portable speaker, because even if people didn't want to use the relaxation properties of it, you're at least selling more units by allowing people to take full advantage of this amazing audio technology that is just a little bit underutilized. So this is everything you need to know about the Mudita 2nd Gen. The 1st Gen is no longer in production. If you have one, hook it up to a wall, leave it as a clock. This is the latest and greatest Harmony. This is not the Bell. This is the e-ink version, the Mudita Harmony. If you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below.